Fortunately, Li Yuanqing still had Xiaobuddy in with him. The soul-suppressing altar's greatest effect was to control the demonic qi. The little guy moved slightly and completely messed up the entire foggy environment below. He also followed Li Yuanqing's instructions and condensed some of the mist below into a small array formation. It also had a certain concealment ability. Li Yuanqing used this small array formation to hide himself and release the wood spirit clone. Li Yuanqing's wood spirit clone had fled into the demon realm. At this moment, a light flashed above Li Yuanqing's palm, and the small clone transformed back into a wooden figure and lay quietly in his hand. However, the wood spirit clone's light was very dim at the moment. Compared to when it was sent out, it was obviously much weaker. It might need a long time to recuperate before it could be used normally again. Just now, Li Yuanqing was fully focused on the demon world. The door was closed, so there was no time to retrieve the clone. This caused the clone to be directly hit by the monster and lost a certain amount of power. One hope it doesn't cause any impact. After feeling regretful, Li Yuanqing put away his clone again. With a wave of his hand, a pile of array discs of various sizes appeared at the bottom of the river. These array discs were neatly placed beside the entrance of the demon world. Li Yuanqing waved his hand, and the largest one fell into his hand. He placed this core array disc beside the black stone tablet. After placing it down, the other array discs seemed to be guided and slowly moved on their own. At the bottom of the riverbed, a huge formation with a diameter of about 1,000 feet slowly formed. The formation started from the bottom and slowly rose up like a balloon, covering the entire space below. A pitch-black light flowed on the bowl, slowly blending into the color of the river water beside it. This was a top-notch ceiling array formation. Not only did Li Yuanqing have to eliminate the possibility of the black stone monument reopening, but he also had to prevent anyone from the outside world from opening this entrance again. He had suffered quite a bit earlier. Li Yuanqing finally heaved a sigh of relief after completing all the arrangements. Although he did not know how that fellow came here, after he arrived in the demon realm, he would probably need to go through a lot of trouble to return to the demon realm. He needed this time to make arrangements. Now, everything seemed to have passed, and the crisis could only be said to have been temporarily resolved. Sea City. The originally chaotic scene had been completely controlled. Yi Qilua led her guards and forcefully locked up all those who had fallen into a coma, and also sealed all the spirit power in their bodies. In this way, when they woke up again, they would not have the ability to cause trouble. The city lord's mansion had turned into a prison at the fastest speed possible. In the hall of the city lord's estate, there were people who were tied up. Most of them were weaker and did not need to be confined alone. Yi Qilua took off the helmet on her head, her delicate face revealing a trace of fatigue. City lord, everyone has been detained. Brothers, let's get busy tonight. We'll split into 3 groups and wait until dawn tomorrow. City lord. The captain of the guards was very conflicted. He looked up at Yi Qilua. Why did they become like this? If this continues, are we going to tie them up like this forever? What if one day? Yi Qilua stared into his eyes and replied, there will be a way tomorrow morning. City lord, I'm sorry for being presumptuous, but the brothers below all have this kind of doubt in their hearts. Everyone doesn't know why they became like this. She didn't know why he was treating them like this. This is not something you should be asking. All right, you've been busy enough today. It's time to go and rest. Remember, you have to make arrangements for tonight. The captain lowered his head heavily. Yes, sir. The captain of the guards retreated in a hurry. Yi Qilua pulled herself together and turned around, looking at the shadow behind her. It's not a good attitude to treat your subordinates like this. A person slowly walked out from the shadows. No one knew when this person appeared. No one noticed him, and no one knew who he was. If someone asked Yi Qilua this question, Yi Qilua would probably answer, he was the guardian of this place. Young Master Li, how is it? You haven't come back for so long. Did you encounter some trouble? Li Yuanqing lightly raised his eyebrows. Did encounter some trouble, but it has been resolved now. There are no more problems, so there's no need to worry. Young Master Li, one felt uneasy just now, as if something was going to happen, but one didn't know what to do. Now that these people had been arrested, what was inside that stone? It's something that shouldn't exist here. Young master, are they here? Who is it? The information you found last time, as well as the matter about the Immortal Ascension sect, I've also investigated a lot after one went back. Although I'm not particularly clear, one have my own guesses. It's just that I'm not sure if those people really exist, so I'm afraid it's not the time to tell you these things. So, did someone really come down from the legendary immortal world? It's hard to say for now. To have such power without anyone knowing, and to have everyone in the city become such obsessed believers, there's no one else who can do this except those people.
Ye Hilo kept asking Li Yuanqing.
Li Yuanqing himself didn't have an answer to this question. He knew too little about the legendary immortal world. He only knew a little bit. It was probably not of much help to the current situation. Perhaps, but at the very least, we still have some time to protect ourselves. One hope that you can complete the entire city protection array as soon as possible and strengthen it on top of the original foundation. Only in this way can we ensure the safety of the entire human race. Young Master Li, don't worry. I will definitely protect everyone. Just as Li Yuanqing was about to leave, he looked at the rows of people below and turned to Yi Qilua. They will slowly wake up on their own, but it's best not to let them all out at once. After they are sure that they have completely calmed down, let them go back to their normal lives. After he finished speaking, he returned to the shadow before Yi Qilua could continue. Soon, Li Yuanqing's body slowly sank into the night and disappeared without a trace. Yi Qilua slowly took out a jade seal from her sleeve. This seal was crystal clear, and there were some golden threads that formed its veins, just like human blood vessels and meridians. It was very magical. Yi Qilua originally wanted to give this seal to Li Yuanqing. This was a seal that symbolized the core strength of the human tribe. As long as he had this seal, he could summon the human tribe at any time and anywhere. All the descendants of the human race who have been passed down in the catacombs world will feel the call of this power. However, Yi Qilua still didn't give it away. It seemed like Li Yuanqing didn't need such a summoning order. This young Master Li's strength was too strong and had completely exceeded the scope of the ordinary human race. Yi Qilua's heart went from being too arrogant at first to becoming more and more inferior. She was the dignified holy maiden of the human race, but in front of Li Yuanqing, she was nothing. Mississippi. At the corner of the corridor, an old man slowly walked out. This old man was the old man who guarded the library. It was unknown why he had appeared here. Uncle Fu, do you think the human race can survive this ordeal? I believe in young Master Li. In the wilderness, a group of huge beasts were rushing south along the vast plains with rumbling sounds. At the edge of the desert, there was a towering black stone platform. The platform was made of black stones from top to bottom. If one looked carefully, one could see the tiny cracks formed by the large stones stacked together. At the top of the stone platform was a square platform that was 5 meters square. There were 5 to 6 people standing on the square platform, looking into the distance. City Lord, once our fortress is built, it will be able to withstand the simultaneous attacks of tens of thousands of spirit transformation tier demonic beasts. Not only is there a very tight defensive formation set up, but there is also a very complicated maze structure. Moreover, the key parts of the entire fortress are made of the toughest obsidian. This strength is enough to deal with a large-scale war. The designer team consisted of 3 people. They proudly introduced their latest work to Hujujio. It was the direction where the tens of thousands of demon beasts were charging towards. The demonic beasts were running very smoothly at the front, but when they reached the side of the fortress, their speed suddenly slowed down completely. It was as if something was blocking them in front of them, making it difficult for them to move. The demon beasts in front were blocked by thick walls and array formations. The demon beasts behind were still squeezing forward, causing the demon beasts to be in a mess. At the same time, they were hit by more than 1,000 huge demon beasts. However, the front line emitted an extremely intense black light that gave off an extremely heavy feeling. It forcefully blocked the attack and successfully blocked the demon beasts outside. The 3 main designers looked at Hujujio proudly, as if they were proud of their designs. The 3 of them were also the latest talents to emerge. There were many talents in Pingqing now, especially after the academy was successfully established. Many people were eager to sign up. Not only was the academy full of students, but the number of professors was also increasing rapidly. This was their foundation. There were also many people who were very willing to come to Ping City after learning about Ping City's reputation. This also increased their ability to attract talents. These three designers had come together. They had a certain amount of research on the structure of buildings and arrays. After conducting a deeper level of learning in the academy, they had obtained such an opportunity to display it. It's all right. Juju nodded slightly. He seemed to be quite satisfied with the work in front of him. It did not look bad. Seeing this, the designers were encouraged. City Lord, you don't know, but for this place, the few of us have worked overtime every day and spent a lot of effort. Why did you tell the City Lord that? It's just that today is a happy day, so we should talk about happy things. There were even some differences in their small group of three. The group of people here were chatting animatedly, but in a corner at the side, there was a person who seemed to be unpopular. He stood there alone and watched the scene of the group of demon beasts besieging the fortress. No one knew what he was thinking. This person was Li Yuanqing. As Juju's follower, he had come to the observation site to inspect the newly built southern fortress. It had been 3 months since he had locked up the puppet. Although it seemed like a long time, it had passed in the blink of an eye. Many things had happened in these 3 months, but those terrifying people had never returned. Even though there were no more twists and turns during this period of time, Li Yuanqing still placed great importance on strengthening the fortress. He had always emphasized the importance of strengthening the defense. Therefore, the entire catacombs human tribe was busy with the construction of all sorts of strongholds. From Ping City to the city of Rome, all sorts of defensive fortresses were being built in almost every place. Although they didn't know what the purpose of building so many fortresses was, they were still very happy to be encouraged by the higher-ups to devote themselves to these things. You guys did a good job, but there are still some areas that can be improved. Juju had been smiling at them just now, as if she had not thought about it seriously. These designers had thought that their designs were perfect enough that even the city lord wouldn't be able to find any fault with them. In the end, they were suddenly splashed with cold water, and their anger was instantly silenced. It doesn't matter. Since the city lord said that there are still problems, then we'll go back and make some changes. The main structure of these defensive fortresses was carried out according to the plan provided by Li Yuanqing. Therefore, in general, there would not be any problems. It was just that the problem lay elsewhere. Although your overall structure is different, the materials used were also well behaved and did not make any big mistakes. However, the problem lay in the coordination of the array formation. Your obsidian materials are not placed on the key points of the array formation at all, resulting in a certain degree of disorder in the array formation when it receives the attack of the demon beasts. Juju pointed at the beast tide that had already dispersed. These demon beasts had now become things that they had raised in captivity. Seeing that the fortress in front of them was too solid and impossible to break through, these demon beasts were very tactful and obediently returned the way they came. They always felt that they were being played like this a few times a day, but they were very obedient and obediently ran over every time. The designers listened in fear and didn't dare to say anything. When the first wave of the beast tide attacked, we could clearly see that the array structure in front of the fortress had a very obvious fluctuation. This also caused the array to consume too much energy when it was activated at the beginning. If the energy is lost in an unstable way, what does that mean? You guys know what's going on, right? The leading designer lowered his head like a primary school student who had made a mistake and replied submissively, if the energy is lost in a short period of time, it will lead to a certain period of vacuum in the defense. That's where the problem lies. What we pursue is the ultimate stability. Everything else should be left at the end. If you build a fortress that can't even achieve the most basic stability, what's the point? City Lord, we know we were wrong. However, this is the only way for us to see the strength of these demonic beasts. To deal with the demonic beasts in this catacombs world, using this kind of strength is enough. Juju glared at them unhappily and said, how many times have one told you? The enemies we have to face are not these weak ones. We have to face countless enemies. We don't even know how strong they are. With this attitude, How many of you can survive when you really fight them? They were being scolded so badly that one of them carefully looked to the side and realized that the strange follower who had been standing there earlier had disappeared. He didn't know when he had run away. In the immortal world, the white-browed Taoist gritted his teeth and looked at the little doll in front of him. He had racked his brains to put his proud work in the lower realm. He had thought that he could easily take down those people in the lower realm and clean up properly. However, he did not expect to be played by them and become such a situation. Useless. The wooden puppet returned to its original size of 1 meter, standing silently in front of the white-browed Taoist. This little guy stammered as if he wanted to say something to defend himself, but the white-browed Taoist didn't listen to his nonsense. What's the use of talking about this now? Just a weak human kid played you like this and was tricked into the demon realm. Do you know whose territory the demon realm is? No wonder the white-browed Taoist was so angry. Although it seemed like 3 months had passed in the lower realm, only 3 days had passed in his place. In the past 3 days, the human idol had gone crazy. He had killed all the gangs in the demon realm, large and small. He had almost overturned the entire demon realm. The demon realm had lost 80% of its population. If the black dragon hadn't come to inform them, they would have killed all of them. The demon realm was the assets under the name of the Green Dragon King. Now that his puppet had ruined the assets under his name, the Green Dragon King would not let it go just like that. However, he also knew that scolding this kid was useless. This guy's personality was so straightforward. He would not keep things with too complicated thoughts by his side. Everything he did was for the black dragon to see. The black dragon was sitting at the side. He had specially come today to discuss how to make it up to Lord Green Dragon. However, after the white-browed Taoist brought this kid back, he kept scolding him. Black Dragon himself knew that this guy was just putting on an act in front of him. All right, White Brow, you still have the time to compete with this kid at a time like this. Why don't you think about what to do next? Moreover, don't you plan to explain to me why things have turned out this way? I saw that you seemed to be quite confident before, so one handed the lower realm to you to manage. But I didn't expect that you actually couldn't even deal with such a human. The Black Dragon had come to watch the show today. He was already preparing to enter seclusion, but he did not expect such a thing to happen midway. Fortunately, he had received the alarm in time. Otherwise, if he had been discovered by the Green Dragon God first, the consequences would have been unimaginable. The white-browed Taoist's old face turned red. He looked at the Black Dragon and said, "I was careless. One didn't expect this kid to have such strength. Give this old man some more time, and 1 foot 11 inches definitely be able to take this kid down. You don't have to worry about anything else." The Black Dragon was not happy. He looked at him and said, "I say, White Eyebrow, why don't you know what's going on in your heart? For no reason, you turned my lower realm upside down. Do you still expect me to believe you now? I know that I was indeed a little careless this time and gave that guy some opportunities. However, overall, the progress is still very smooth. I've already figured out the details of the lower realm. As long as I go again, I'll definitely be able to uproot the human group led by Li Yuanqing. When the time comes, there won't be a single person in your lower realm. You can leave your subordinates there to train." The Black Dragon nodded and smiled at him. "I say, White Brow, you are too good at avoiding the important and dallying with the trivial. Then what else do you want?" White Brow spread his hands as if he was about to give up. "Things have already come to this. Since one promised not to accept anything, one will help you clean up this mess. What else do you want?" "I don't want to do anything, but that kid cut off all my spirit veins for me and one lost a lot of harvest. That's your own business. What does it have to do with me? How can it be okay? If it weren't for you, would things have turned out like this?" White Brow knew that he was unlucky this time. Things that originally had nothing to do with him could now be blamed on him. It really made him very angry. "Then tell me what to do. Anyway, things have already come to this. 1 foot 11 inches, just admit that I'm unlucky." The Black Dragon smiled and looked at White Brow. "White Brow, we've been friends for so many years. Why do you say it so harshly? It's as if I'm going to force you into a dead end. Come on, don't I know what you're thinking? What was he trying to do? Just say it. Actually, I want to sell you a bargain. What is it? White Brow stared at Black Dragon warily. Black Dragon was always scamming people. When would he take the initiative to give others benefits? You also know that Li Yuanqing has a real magic treasure in his hands. As for me, I'm not interested in that magic treasure. So 1 foot 11 inches give it all to you. Not only that magic treasure, I'll give you the entire demon realm. White Brow's face darkened. He vaguely felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. Are you so kind as to give me your precious demon realm for no reason? White Brow, what do you mean? How many years have we been brothers? How can you doubt our relationship just because of a mere demon world? Don't give me that. The Black Dragon stood up indifferently. I won't say anything more. Anyway, I've already mentioned this to you. One only have a small request. See, if you tell us your request earlier, everyone will be more open. The Black Dragon looked around White Brow's cave and finally fixed his gaze on the puppet. I think this little toy of yours is quite useful. What are you thinking? This is my treasure. I can't give it to you. The Black Dragon pursed his lips and strode out. Do as you see fit. In any case, I feel that the treasures on Li Yuanqing's body are much more valuable than your little toys. Li Yuanqing woke up from his meditation and looked around in shock. Recently, whenever he meditated, a scene would appear in front of him. In the scene, there was a barren beach. This beach was very vast, and one could not see the end of it at a glance. However, it seemed that no one had been there for a long time. It had been deserted for a very long time, and the surroundings were covered with tall shrubs. Speaking of which, the appearance of this scene wasn't because Li Yuanqing's consciousness was blurry and he was dreaming. It was the scene that the Bloodvine sent back. Ever since the Bloodvine discovered this scene, it had repeatedly presented this scene to Li Yuanqing. However, every time Li Yuanqing wanted to find an answer from the Bloodvine would act as if it knew nothing, making Li Yuanqing feel at a loss. Li Yuanqing waved his hand, and the Bloodvine appeared beside his hand. What is that place? Do you really want me to go that much? Shueting widened his eyes and looked innocent. Li Yuanqing helplessly shook his head and threw the Bloodvine to the side, letting it play with Xiao Budian and the other two. Although this little guy had the body of a child, his mind was much more mature than the Bloodvine. When the two of them played, it was often the Bloodvine that was bullied. Li Yuanqing walked out of his cave abode. There were many immortal cultivators living on this mountain. These people represented the top combat strength of the entire Ping City and were all gathered here. Li Yuanqing's cave abode was in an inconspicuous location, but fortunately, it was very remote. Although the spiritual energy inside was slightly weaker, he did not care about these things. Nearby, many cultivators drove all kinds of tools to and fro. At the bottom of the mountain, a world made of steel could be seen. All the wooden houses in the past had been demolished and recast, replaced with stronger metal minerals. The outermost layer of defense was completely replaced by extremely sturdy black stone. All these changes had happened in the past 6 months. In half a year, the human race had already transformed this place into this appearance. The current Ping City had undergone earth-shattering changes compared to the previous Ping City. They had a huge amount of financial resources to support the entire transformation system in Ping City, allowing almost all the people living in Ping City to have a stable job and obtain the resources needed for cultivation. In addition to the established academy, the entire Ping City was now thriving. The streets and alleys were filled with busy people. Those who walked on the streets did not forget to use this time to discuss work problems with their companions. Li Yuanqing felt an inexplicable sense of pride in his heart, especially when he remembered that he had built this entire empire single-handedly. Looking at this happy and harmonious scene, he suddenly remembered that he had been here for too long, especially during the time he was cultivating in seclusion in the cave. He would often think of his sister in the other world. The two children jumped out of the cave dwelling while arguing. A cultivator who lived nearby happened to pass by and greeted Li Yuanqing very warmly. "Brother Li, are you bringing your child out to play again?" Brother Zhao is out hunting again?" "Yeah. I've been busy with breaking through recently and need too many materials. Although I've earned a lot this time, I still need to be busy for a while. This kind of thing can't be rushed. The hunting process is also a part of cultivation." Brother Li is right. Zhao patted Xiao Budian's head. The teacher who teaches cultivation techniques in the academy also said the same thing. Cultivation is a lifetime thing, and you have to remember it at all times. Brother Zhao, knowing this will be of great help to your future cultivation. One believe that you will definitely be able to get what you want. Zhao nodded heavily, full of fighting spirit. I heard my teacher say that these words seem to be left behind by senior. If I can personally attend this senior's class, then I'll be content for the rest of my life. Li Yuanqing coughed a few times and pretended as if nothing had happened. Brother Zhao, I still have some things to do. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Brotherly, take care. One still have to rush back and deal with the materials I just obtained. I have a bunch of troublesome things on my hands. After saying goodbye, Li Yuanqing brought the two kids down the mountain. Zhao looked at Li Yuanqing's back and sighed silently. He muttered to himself, how many people like Brother Li cannot worry about cultivation all day long? He was envious of Li Yuanqing, who had gone out to hunt all day long and had been cultivating silently in the cave. However, he did not know that Li Yuanqing had already passed the stage of being busy. Everything that they were talking about now was provided by this mysterious young master. After Li Yuanqing left the cave abode, he walked on the familiar wide street. Beside him were tall buildings covered in thick shells. Among all the buildings, they chose this one as the overall architectural style. The main reason was that building large buildings could strengthen the outer defense. If they built scattered courtyards like before, the overall defense would be extremely limited. Li Yuanqing liked to walk around the city when he had nothing to do. However, he had something urgent to do today, so he was in a hurry. The city lord's mansion had already been rebuilt. It had been expanded twice as large as the original foundation, turning into a circular building. There were many bowl-shaped buildings in the middle of the empty space. These bowls were all on the ground, sealed tightly. Below these bowls were the structures of the earth veins. This thing that looked like a big black bowl was actually a training room for cultivators like them. This kind of structure could effectively gather spiritual energy and gather it all in that small space, greatly improving the efficiency of training. To cultivators, this was a paradise. Practicing areas like this would be found in almost every place in Pingcheng. They were specially designed for the use of practitioners. However, they had to pay a certain amount of spirit stones each time they were used. Hence, they were also a good helper for players who wanted to advance. Zhao had worked so hard to gather materials so that he could have sufficient funds and strength to stay in the cultivation room for a long time when he broke through the next time. There were small square-shaped rooms in the outer ring. These small rooms did not have walls. They were all isolated by a membrane formed by an array. These thin films were very sensitive and could change into various shapes according to one's will. If one wanted it to be any color, it could also turn into a transparent color when more light was needed. These formations were all Xiao Man's little tricks, and many of them were very interesting ideas proposed by the students in the academy. There were also some ideas that seemed impossible, but with the help of Xiao Man and Li Yuanqing, these originally impossible things became possible. It could be said that the technological development of Pingcheng had advanced by leaps and bounds in the past 6 months. After walking through the door, there was an automatic advancing array formation under his feet. This transportation belt circled around the entire city lord's mansion. Anyone who wanted to go anywhere could take this transportation belt. It was a very convenient means of transportation and was widely praised. There were a total of 5 levels in the city lord's mansion. Li Yuanqing wanted to go to the top floor. He directly sat on the small teleportation array at the side and appeared on the top floor in a second. Your divine secret sect is too arrogant now. You keep saying that you're taking all the credit, but you know the truth better than anyone else. How many blueprints had he taken from the Sword Immortal? Tell me, which building was really built by your own family? Wasn't it all because of the arrangements of the Sword Immortal? Now, he was talking about himself as if he was a god who saved the world. Before Li Yuanqing entered the meeting room, he heard a fierce scolding coming from inside. The few groups of people inside were already cursing. The so-called issue was nothing more than their remuneration. Back then, Li Yuanqing had greatly increased the cost of labor and promised them a very generous reward. That was why they were not only willing to teach in the academy, but also to do their best to build Ping City. Now that half a year had passed, it was time for the next settlement point. Everyone in Pingcheng had witnessed such a huge move. Everyone wanted to take the opportunity to improve their treatment. Perhaps they were afraid of the sword immortal and did not dare to speak first, but when the first person to raise an opinion stood up, the people behind followed suit. You make it sound so easy. Why don't we leave this work to the Wang family and see what you can do? Let's see if you can build a house. You seem to know everything you've done, but your words are so laughable. I was just thinking about it. If you really have the guts to give up all the projects in your hands, our Wang family will really dare to take them over. Forget it if you think about it. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself? You dare to shamelessly accept the mission of a sword immortal just because you're of your own worth? If anything happens, can your Wang family afford to bear the responsibility? The argument in the conference room was still going on. Li Yuanqing didn't go in. Instead, he walked directly from the front of the conference room to a small office on the other side. Hu Juzhou brought a cup of hot tea to Li Yuanqing and whispered into his ear, "Master, I have to trouble you to come personally. They are really troublesome." Li Yuanqing drank the tea in his cup in one gulp. He walked to the side and sat down. He took the thick bill that Hu Juzhou handed over and flipped through it. "Master, in the past 6 months, we have practically renovated the entire Ping City. Is it enough now? There's no need to go through so much trouble. Inside, what is the value of the true force?" Hu Juzhou rolled his eyes and replied, "What else could it be?" Zhao Yoming felt that the salary they were offering now could not keep up. When the others saw what they said, they also joined in and jeered. So they just feel that they've suffered a loss? There are also a few families who want to take advantage of the chaos to obtain more missions. They are all looking at the Divine Secrets sect with the information you gave them. Now that their strength has improved by leaps and bounds, they are very envious. Divine Secrets sect did well. That's true. Their strength is growing the fastest now. Many of their disciples have already spread throughout Ping City. They have even extended their hands to Rong City and Sea City. They have earned enough. Therefore, Divine Secret Sect is not the one who wants to increase the reward this time. You're quite tactful. Hu Juzhou squatted beside Li Yuanqing and rubbed his legs. "Master, how should we deal with them now? They are all clamoring for more bids. However, the construction of Ping City is almost complete now, and we can't satisfy their appetite. If this continues, I think they are going to rebel. Since everything below is almost done, we can let them go somewhere else." "Master, what do you mean? Sea City Base and Chengdu City need them more. But didn't Master say that this wasn't good? This is a special period, so we can't care so much. Just do it like this. If there are any problems over there, let me know." "That's good. It's just a matter of price. We can't just let them do as they please. I'll leave those matters to you." "I understand." Hu Juzhou kept all the account books and took out another set of data. "Master, according to the latest data, those mineral veins have recovered very well. If we don't look at it, it might not be long before we can mine them normally." Li Yuanqing had a rough idea of what was going on with just a glance. He was still a little surprised by the recovery speed of these mineral veins. It had only been a short half a year, but he had recovered so quickly. He did not know how the demons had ruined this perfectly fine mineral vein in the past to squeeze it until there was not a single drop left. Seeing that these mineral veins had roughly taken shape, they were probably not far from normal mining. We must protect these mines well. We can't let them be stolen at this last moment. "Master, don't worry. I've already sent a professional patrol team to guard the vicinity. There won't be any mistakes. I might have to leave for a while." Hu Juzhou looked at Li Yuanqing in surprise and asked, "Master, are you leaving again? How long will you be away this time?" "I'm not sure either. This time, I have to go to a particularly important place. I'm afraid I won't be back in a short time. If you encounter any trouble, let me know immediately." "Master, don't worry. During this period of time when Master isn't around, Xiaoju will definitely take good care of everyone." In the wilderness, on top of a small mound that was more than 10 meters tall, a wolf and a wild boar were confronting each other. The two of them stared at each other fiercely. There was a golden fruit between the two of them. This fruit was the culprit of their hostility here. The wild boar suddenly bared its teeth and pretended to attack. The wolf was so scared that it hurriedly tried to dodge to the side. The wild boar's eyes revealed the look of its feet. When it was inconvenient for the gray wolf to adjust, it rushed straight towards the golden fruit. When the gray wolf saw this, it was furious. Its 4 claws dug into the ground and forcefully changed its direction. It ran straight towards the fruit. The wild boar took the initiative and arrived in front of the fruit first. Seeing that it was only a foot away, it opened its mouth full of fangs and bit over, wanting to swallow the fruit directly into its stomach. At this moment, a hand suddenly appeared out of nowhere and floated above the fruit. The wild boar was in a daze. It thought that something seemed to have flashed in front of it. However, at this critical moment, it did not have time to think about it. It directly bit down heavily. As a result, it used its big mouth to bite the soil on the ground. After chewing a pile of soil, it turned around and ran back. When the gray wolf saw the fellow turn around and run, it thought that he had really taken the fruit away. It was furious and wanted to chase after him. The wild boar proudly turned its head to look back. Just as it was rejoicing at its cleverness, a high wall suddenly appeared in front of it. It fell heavily onto the wall and crashed into it. Its huge body, which was running quickly, was suddenly stuck. Although the wild boar hit the ground hard, it felt as if it was being carried by a force and slowly landed on the ground. It hurriedly got up from the ground and looked up. A young human boy had appeared in front of it. This little guy had white skin and tender flesh. It was obvious that he tasted very good. The wild boar did not understand why this fellow dared to block in front of it, baring his sharp fangs as if he was trying to intimidate Li Yuanqing. At this moment, the gray wolf had caught up to him. Without hesitation, it opened its mouth and bit at the boar's butt, wanting to take revenge. Li Yuanqing waved his hand, and Gray Wolf felt a gust of wind blowing in front of him. His running figure was immediately blocked, and his entire body was blown away like a leaf. He gently landed beside the wild boar, and the two of them stood in front of the man like two students. Only then did the two beasts have the mood to size the young man in front of them. This guy didn't seem to have done anything, but he also seemed to have done everything. Li Yuanqing held the fruit in his hand and looked at it with interest. A 50-year-old fruit. The two of you are quite lucky. The wild boar and the gray wolf let out a low roar in tacit understanding, trying to threaten Li Yuanqing. However, these were useless against Li Yuanqing. As long as the two of you help me with a small favor, 1 foot 11 inches return this fruit to you. In other words, if anyone is willing to help me, this fruit will belong to them. Although these two demonic beasts had yet to transform, they could still understand human speech. Both of them looked at Li Yuanqing with bewilderment in their eyes. They didn't know where this human kid came from to speak so arrogantly. It seems that you don't have this intention. Then I'll take this fruit myself. Just as Li Yuanqing was about to put away the fruit, the two fellows let out a low growl and glared at Li Yuanqing with their teeth bared. Li Yuanqing smiled and took out the fruit again. He said to the two of them, "It's actually very simple. As long as the two of you are willing to go to a place for me, this fruit will still be yours. However, that place might be a little dangerous, so I'll make it clear to you in advance." Half an hour later, Li Yuanqing appeared at the edge of the forest with two wild beasts. In front of them was a very wide bush, and outside the bush was a dark sea. It was unknown where the vast sea connected to, as if it had no end. This was Li Yuanqing's destination. The two beasts looked at each other and saw some confusion in each other's eyes. This bush was not a big deal. Although the two of them did not often come here, if they passed by, they would directly crawl through it. It was not a big deal. Why did this human appear to be timid today? Li Yuanqing looked at the bushes in front of him and said to the two of them, "You just need to go inside and take a look. If there's something I want inside, not only will I return this fruit to you, but 1 foot 11 inches also give each of you a new one." Li Yuanqing stretched out his hand, and two more solid fruits appeared in his other hand. The fragrance emitted from it was clearly at the level of 100 years. This fragrance was enough to make these two inexperienced little demons boil. As expected, after the two of them smelled the scent, they rushed at Li Yuanqing with a rush of eagerness and hurriedly nodded. Li Yuanqing put away the fruit again. Their eyes revealed some regret. When Li Yuanqing stretched out his hand, an extremely small red bud appeared in his hand. This red sprout was one of the seeds of the blood vine. Li Yuanqing had tracked the seed of the blood vine to this place. However, after arriving here, the signal gradually weakened and then disappeared. The general direction was correct, but if he wanted to find this seed again, he couldn't find it no matter what. So he thought of this idea. Li Yuanqing placed the seeds in front of them. After carefully observing them, the two fellows dived into the bushes without looking back. In the dream, Li Yuanqing did not see the color of the sea clearly. Was this pitch-black sea the place he was looking for? Now, he was also very nervous. He had spent a month and finally found this place at the edge of the continent, but what was going on? There was no answer yet. Li Yuanqing looked at the vines flying up and down in the bushes. The wild boar was like a large-scale demolition machine, uprooting all the bushes and digging 3 feet into the ground. Just like that, it plowed through them at an extremely fast speed. The efficiency of its search was really high. However, the gray wolf was not at a disadvantage. It stood up straight and took out its sharp claws, digging up the soil. It was as if they were in a competition. Their speed of searching was very fast. Not long after, a wild boar's roar came from the bushes. Li Yuanqing hurriedly followed and soon arrived at the entrance. The wild boar ran towards Li Yuanqing triumphantly. It deliberately waited for the gray wolf to come close before opening its mouth and spitting out a mouthful of mud. In the mud, there was indeed a very small blood vine sprout, twisting slightly. The gray wolf looked at the wild boar with a hoarse grin, but there was nothing he could do. This guy was indeed fast at finding things. He was now at a disadvantage, and there was nothing he could do. He growled and was about to leave when Li Yuanqing stopped him. Both of you have contributed, so there will be rewards for both of you. This fruit is yours, and both of you will have a share of these 2 fruits. Li Yuanqing gave the 50-year-old spiritual fruit to the wild boar. In addition, he gave his 200-year-old spiritual fruits to the 2 of them respectively. However, the wild boar seemed to be very dissatisfied. The wild boar grunted and glared at Li Yuanqing, as if it wanted an explanation. You don't have to feel unconvinced. As long as you follow me, I still have many fruits here. When the wild boar heard this, it opened its mouth and swallowed the 100-year-old fruit. It looked at Li Yuanqing with a grunt. Since this guy had already surrendered to this human, Grey Wolf could not fall behind. After hurriedly eating the fruit, he followed behind Li Yuanqing, looking like he was following Li Yuanqing's lead. Since you're all natives who live here, do you know if there's any place related to the human race in the vicinity, or if there's any special human race who has come here before? Li Yuanqing's question stumped the 2 of them. This place was very remote. If Li Yuanqing had not specially searched for it, no one would have come to such a remote place. There were still many dangers along the way. The strength of ordinary people was not enough to support them to come here alive. The gray wolf glanced at the ornaments hanging on Li Yuanqing's body and the words printed on them. It had an idea and immediately ran in a direction while shouting. Li Yuanqing followed closely behind. The wild boar was not willing to fall behind and ran along. This gray wolf was quite tactful. It even specially opened up a path for Li Yuanqing and led him to the edge of the bushes. In front of them was a barren beach. This image was almost the same as what Li Yuanqing saw in his dream. In front of them, where Grey Wolf was standing, there was a very tall black rock blocking the place. This black rock was covered with vines. After the Grey Wolf arrived, it jumped to the waist of the big rock proudly and kept scratching with its claws. It even howled at Li Yuanqing. Li Yuanqing understood his intentions. Move aside first. Let me do it. Grey Wolf jumped down from the waist. Li Yuanqing slapped out with his palm, and a thick spiritual energy swept over the entire stone. The originally silent stone began to shake slightly. After the shaking, the thick vines that covered the stone fell down one by one, slowly revealing the things inside. What was wrapped inside was actually a stone tablet. Without the cover on it, the image of the stone tablet was completely exposed. There were dense small words on it, as if it was to record something special. Chronicle of the Divine Ancestor Qiuming. Divine Ancestor? Li Yuanqing was greatly puzzled. He had never heard anyone from the human race mention that there was a so-called divine ancestor in the human race. The gray wolf stood proudly at the side, looking down at the wild boar. In this game, it had once again won a city, which made it proud. Li Yuanqing dived into the stone tablet. This entire stone tablet was erected to record an extremely important event. This important event was the so-called divine ancestor in this stone tablet. It turned out that there was a legendary figure called Master Qiuming who led the most primitive humans to land in the demon realm from here. From then on, the human race began to reproduce in the demon realm. Originally, the demon realm was a chaotic and disorderly state. It was filled with very dense spiritual power, but the demons living here were not good at using this spiritual power. After the humans arrived, everything changed. One by one, the human race mined the mineral veins. The strength of the human race who came here increased greatly. Soon, they stabilized their footing and created one prosperous civilization after another. The time of this stone tablet should have been after the prosperity of the human race. There should have been many memories and thoughts about the many things that happened after that. Not only did it describe how the human race started from scratch in the entire demon continent, but it also described the many conflicts and help between the human race and the demon race. Not only could the human race gain power from those veins, the demons could also benefit from it. Under the leadership of the humans, they slowly developed their intelligence. Originally, they could only possess intelligence under extremely high cultivation. However, with the help of humans, the demon race as a whole had evolved very quickly. These demons absorbed the knowledge of the human race and became smarter. They were better at using their own strength. The demon race also had their own mineral veins. All of this seemed to be developing in a very good direction, but why did it become like this? Li Yuanqing didn't understand. According to what was recorded in the inscription, the human race and the demon race should be in harmony now. However, what he saw was that the human race had become the slaves of the demon race. The exact age of this stone tablet was already unknown, and no one even remembered its existence. Perhaps the scenes depicted on it were real. Master Qiuming. After Li Yuanqing finished reading the entire inscription, he muttered to himself, "Who exactly is this legendary Master Qiuming?" As the ancestor of the human race, he led the human race to this land. Why didn't he continue to lead the human race? Where did he go? What happened after that? Li Yuanqing had thought that he would be able to answer many of his questions after coming here. However, he did not expect that he would gain even more questions after coming here. He had no idea what had happened here. Why would the blood vine appear here? The spiritual energy of the blood vine seed had been exhausted after arriving here. It used its last bit of spiritual energy to send those images back, and then it fell silent in the bushes. Following that, Li Yuanqing discovered this stone tablet and learned that there was a human ancestor called Master Qiuming. The discovery of the stone tablet in this remote corner of the area had changed Li Yuanqing's understanding of the catacombs world to a large extent. In his original understanding, Li Yuanqing thought that the demons developed this small world first, and the humans came later. But now, the human race was the one who developed the entire demon realm. However, something happened later, causing the mineral veins that could originally flow slowly to be cut off. The spiritual energy of the entire demon realm gradually dried up. Li Yuanqing felt that this was definitely related to the Black Dragon. It was under the rule of the Black Dragon that the demon realm became like this. Li Yuanqing stood behind the stone tablet and looked at the vast and desolate beach in front of him. There was a vast ocean around the dark gray beach, but the seawater was pure black and appeared to be deathly silent. No one believed that there was any life in this pitch-black sea. It was calm above the sea, and there were no waves or movements of living creatures. The gray wolf and wild boar crouched on Li Yuanqing's left and right sides, like two guardians. Could it be that they came from the other side of the sea? Li Yuanqing turned around and looked at the huge stone tablet behind him. Since they came ashore from here, it was very likely that they came from the other side of the sea. But what was on the other side of the sea? Where did the human race come from? He stepped on the beach and suddenly heard a familiar voice in his mind. "Congratulations on signing into the Sea of Death. You have received a reward. Reward 1. Human Race Ancient Jade. Reward 2. Runic Scroll. Reward 1 selected. Congratulations on obtaining the human race's ancient jade. The reward has been issued. Li Yuanqing stretched out his hand, and a round jade pendant floated in his palm, emitting a lustrous light. This jade pendant was shaped like a very round ring. The center of the empty space was brighter. When he looked closely, he realized that it was not transparent. The small circular area in the middle seemed to be engraved with some patterns. The patterns were transparent lines, and they were very difficult to see clearly on this white jade pendant. Li Yuanqing held the jade pendant and looked it up and down. When he heard the name, he did not hesitate to choose this human ancient jade. However, this thing was not what he had imagined. He had thought that this jade pendant was a very powerful weapon, but now that he had it, he realized that it seemed to be a very gentle accessory. What was the use of this? Just as Li Yuanqing was hesitating, the edge of the small jade pendant suddenly twisted and extended a row of slender saw teeth. Li Yuanqing was just about to throw it away, but he did not expect the little fellow to be completely out of control. It directly charged at Li Yuanqing's palm and spun in a circle, drawing a long wound. Li Yuanqing hurriedly retracted his hand, but the blood that spewed out of his palm gathered into drops of water and hung below the jade pendant. The jade pendant slowly rotated, bringing along the small drops of blood below it. In the end, the drops of blood turned into a ring that slowly rotated around the jade pendant. In the end, it gradually expanded and turned into a blood mist that enveloped the jade pendant. After the jade pendant processed the blood, a suction force suddenly came from the middle and swallowed all the blood mist around him. Li Yuanqing lowered his head to take a look. The scratch on his palm had almost recovered. After the jade pendant absorbed all the blood, it let out a buzzing sound very proudly. After trembling slightly twice, the jade pendant was not paying attention and smashed towards Li Yuanqing's chest. Although Li Yuanqing was already on guard, he was still unable to dodge in time and was hit head-on. Li Yuanqing hurriedly lowered his head to take a look. After being smashed into his chest, it disappeared as if it was embedded in his clothes. He pulled his clothes open, and a very simple pattern appeared on his chest. It looked like a simplified dragon totem. Li Yuanqing didn't feel any discomfort after the dragon on his chest. It didn't seem to be anything harmful. However, the dragon was too sudden, and he was caught off guard. Li Yuanqing did not know what use this thing had. It sounded quite famous, but now it seemed that it did not seem to have any benefits for him. However, when Li Yuanqing looked at the vast dead sea in front of him again, he felt that the sea had become more intimate. This feeling was exactly the same as the one he had sensed in the Golden Light Lake that day. Li Yuanqing couldn't help but wonder if these two came from the same place. Li Yuanqing had some doubts in his heart, so he slowly walked towards the black sea water. The wild boar and the gray wolf behind him did not dare to follow him. They hid behind him and whimpered, as if they were trying to stop Li Yuanqing. This person had so many treasures on him, but he did not share all the fruits. It would be too much of a loss if he were to die like this. Li Yuanqing ignored them, and the two of them did not dare to chase after him. Under their watchful eyes, Li Yuanqing stepped into the sea of death step by step. He stepped straight into the sea and his feet were submerged. The two demonic beasts turned around and went into the bushes, not daring to look. Since ancient times, anyone who dared to step into the sea of death would die. The strong corrosive power inside wasn't something that ordinary bodies could withstand. The two of them felt that Li Yuanqing would definitely be punished by the gods for daring to step into the sea of death today. It would definitely be impossible for him to come out alive. If the gods were to send down divine punishment later and affect the two of them, it would be a huge loss. The two wild beasts ran very fast and disappeared in a moment. On the beach, Li Yuanqing stood in the pitch-black seawater. He slowly bent down and reached out to scoop up a handful of seawater, gently bringing it to his face. There was indeed a very familiar power in the sea, and it was exactly as he had guessed. It was the power in the Golden Light Lake. However, he could not touch it at all before. Why was he suddenly so used to this power today? Could it be that all of this was due to the jade pendant? What was the use of that jade pendant? Where did the so-called human ancient jade come from? Li Yuanqing casually threw away the seawater in his palm. The energy content in it was very low, and very thin. However, it was such a thin bit of energy that people in the lower realm would have their bodies fester when they touched it. No matter how powerful a person was, it was difficult to get rid of such a bad luck. Could it be that this sea of death was also formed by the immortal world? How much did the immortal world change this world? Li Yuanqing had a sudden idea and took out the golden key again. An extremely strong feeling came from the key. Li Yuanqing followed the power of the key and moved toward the center of the Sea of Death step by step. After going 1,000 miles into the Sea of Death, the strong guidance suddenly stopped, and the water under the Sea of Death automatically formed a vortex. A golden door slowly rose from the vortex and stood in front of Li Yuanqing. Li Yuanqing suppressed his excitement and slowly placed the key in his hand into the hole in the center. As expected, the key was swallowed, and the door slowly opened. An extremely dense aura floated out from inside. Li Yuanqing felt the strong aura that was coming at him. He suddenly had a strong desire to obtain more of this power. Suddenly, he felt that the power opposite him seemed to have become very strange, making Li Yuanqing wary. He hurriedly put the key back. The door closed once again. Li Yuanqing looked at the key in his hand in bewilderment. If he had not misheard it just now, it was clearly the voice of someone talking. What kind of person could it be? Senior brother, what's wrong? In another world, a boy and a girl were squatting beside a pitch-black celestial pond, washing the brushes in their hands. The boy suddenly stared at the water outlet behind him. He kept staring as if he had discovered something. The bottom was called an outlet, but it actually formed a gap. The sewage flowed directly down. It was like a small waterfall at the back, but the place where the waterfall finally fell was obscured by gray smoke, making it impossible to see clearly. I think I smelled something just now. What's that smell? Why don't I smell it? Something's wrong. It seems to be the smell of the lower realm. Really? It had been many years since he had seen anyone from the lower realm, right? One thought that the humans in the lower realm had already been destroyed. The boy shook his head and said to himself, "That's not right. The passageway to the lower realm should have already been closed. Why did it open again? Moreover, Master said that there should be no one there. Senior brother, I'm sure you're wrong. I see that you've been feeling uneasy recently. Master has been criticizing you every day, so you should be more careful. I have my own things to do. How could Master understand? It's fine if I let him say a few words. Sooner or later, I'll let him see how powerful I am. Senior brother, one think you'd better not be angry with Master. What if Master gets angry? Don't worry. No matter how stupid I am, I won't really make Master angry. Besides, Aunt Xiaoming is here. Aunt Xiaoming hasn't come out of seclusion yet. You can't always think of asking her to support you in everything. Little junior sister, don't worry. One know what I'm doing." As the little boy spoke, he used a piece of white paper to gently wipe the brush in his hand clean. After the fine hair on it was washed clean, it was blown apart by the wind one by one. It was very soft. Behind the two of them, there was a small stone with the words "Ink Washing Pool" written on it. The little boy casually threw the wiped paper into the pool. The paper flowed down the water and landed in the gray space below the waterfall. In the lower realm, Li Yuanqing was guarding the sea and waiting quietly. The source of that special power should be the so-called immortal world. If those people found him, what would they do? Would they send people over? Li Yuanqing had seen the power of those people in the immortal world. Even a small puppet could make him anxious. If someone really came, he wouldn't be able to deal with it. What should he do then? He waited here and there, but no one came. Suddenly, a piece of paper floated up from the bottom of the sea. This piece of paper was half black and half gray, and there were also patches of white. It floated on the Black Sea, looking very eye-catching. Li Yuanqing carefully moved back a little. After waiting for a long time, he realized that nothing else was coming out. Then, he carefully approached and slowly came to the side of the paper. He stretched out 2 fingers and drew a circle beside the ball of paper. The paper ball seemed to be wrapped in a ring as it gently separated from the seawater and slowly floated in the air. The black seawater was still flowing down drop by drop. The texture of this piece of paper were very unique. The texture was extremely soft, and the creases on it were very shallow. Li Yuanqing was really curious. He touched it with his hand and rubbed it a little before pulling it open. The paper became very flat again, leaving only a few creases. This kind of material was definitely not something that could be made in the demon realm. In fact, Li Yuanqing had never even seen this kind of material before. After waiting for a while, Li Yuanqing did not see anything coming over. He hurriedly left the place and returned to the coast. The gray wolf and the wild boar had returned at some point. The two of them were curiously strolling along the coast, feeling very regretful. It was not easy for them to meet such a rich guy. They did not expect him to die so mysteriously. The two demonic beasts were originally sworn enemies. Now, they were actually gathered together and felt sorry for an unfamiliar human. This scene was somewhat absurd. Just as they were deep in thought, a person had appeared in front of the mountain. Although this person was not tall, he had a clean face and delicate features. He looked quite young. The two of them looked up and saw the man in front of them. They were shocked. "What are you two doing here? Do you still want to eat fruits?" As Li Yuanqing spoke, he placed a fruit on each of their heads. The two demonic beasts couldn't be bothered to think about why this guy was still alive. They immediately put on a solicitous posture and shook their heads as they looked at Li Yuanqing. Li Yuanqing went outside to take a walk. He did not expect these two fellows to still be guarding here. Although these two demon beasts did not have very high intelligence, they were considered thoughtful. Golden Light Lake. A golden door slowly appeared, and a long and narrow man walked out from the door. This man's body was slightly hunched, and he was wearing a thin cloak. One could vaguely see a very thin skeleton under the cloak. On top of the cloak was a slightly pointy head, and on top of the head was a head of white hair that was casually scattered. Under the cover of his long hair, his white eyebrows and gloomy eyes revealed his unique personality. Taoist White Eyebrow looked around and impatiently took out a handkerchief to cover his mouth and nose. The air in the lower realm was really dirty. It had been a long time since he had come to this place. The first 2 times he had sent his underlings to use the immortal ascension token to descend. He didn't understand why it ended in failure every time. It was probably because he had let the puppet come down too carelessly, resulting in him not being fully prepared and not being able to fully unleash the puppet's power. So this time, he personally went out and brought the noble number 36 doll back to the demon world. Whitebrow, you can't make any more mistakes this time. You can only stay in the demon realm for 2 days. If you can't get rid of that person within these 2 days, you'd better come back quickly. The voice of the black dragon came from the other side of the golden door. The white-browed Taoist looked at them impatiently and said, "Black dragon, why are you talking so much nonsense? I'm not as careless as you. I won't let the humans catch anything on me. Besides, I'm a disciple of a human sect, so I don't need you to tell me what to do. Whitebrow, I'm just reminding you not to forget about this matter. If the old man of the human race gets a hold of this trivial matter between us, we won't be able to bear the consequences." The golden door slowly disappeared after he finished his last sentence, leaving behind the white-browed Taoist floating above the golden lake. His deep and gloomy eyes were looking in the direction of the 3 great cities of the human race. This was his goal for coming here this time. That kid called Li Yuanqing was definitely going to die this time. He had to kill him no matter what to save some of his face. Otherwise, his superb trap technique would be played by the humans in the lower realm. It would be too unpleasant to hear, and would even tarnish the reputation of his sect. As someone from the immortal world, it was naturally not good for him to directly deal with such a brat. The number 36 puppet was standing in front of him with its eyes closed. The white-browed Taoist slowly sat down cross-legged in the air. He pressed a withered and yellow arm against the chest of the small puppet and began to mutter something. After a while, the white-browed Taoist suddenly held his mouth and nose, and a powerful force poured from his body into the puppet's body. As the power was poured into the puppet's body shape, a huge change occurred. In the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the small wooden puppet had turned into the size of an adult. Moreover, its appearance bore some resemblance to Taoist white-browed. The white-browed Taoist was very satisfied as he looked at the results in front of him. "Open your eyes." The puppet slowly opened its eyes. Its pupils were the same yellow color as Taoist white eyebrows. With the strength of a 3rd-level Supreme Realm expert, I believe that it's more than enough for me to deal with a human from the lower realm. I want that Li Yuanqing alive. You can't hurt him, understand? Understood, master. That kid has a lot of secrets on him. If I can unravel all of them, it will be a huge treasure trove. It will be much more valuable than this small demon realm. The white-browed Taoist proudly thought about what would happen after he succeeded. In his opinion, there was no room for failure this time. This time, one will personally supervise the battle. You have one day to bring Li Yuanqing back. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure suddenly flashed in front of him, and the puppet disappeared into the horizon. On the other side of the wide road, in the dense forest, Li Yuanqing was sitting on a thick tree branch, silently feeling the changes in his body. He felt that ever since the jade had been placed in his body, his entire body had undergone a great change. It was a wonderful change. He felt that his entire body, from his bones to his meridians, had been cleansed and transformed by the gentle power emitted by the jade pendant. This power was very gentle, but the effect was so obvious. Li Yuanqing had only spent one night yesterday. When he woke up, he realized that his body had completely changed. His meridians were wider than before, and his strength had also increased greatly. Now, he had vaguely touched the threshold of the 9th level of the Array realm. He was only one step away from the peak of the Array realm. This was really something exciting. The legendary Supreme Realm was an existence that he had never seen before. Under the tree, 2 demon beasts lay there snoring, as if they were asleep. The 2 of them had been rewarded with a lot of fruits by Li Yuanqing yesterday. They had eaten their fill in one go, and the strength in their bodies was very much. This time, they directly fell into a dormant state and slept here. These 2 guys were also very tactful. They knew that there were benefits to following Li Yuanqing, so they simply stayed here and did not leave. They guarded Li Yuanqing's side as bodyguards. Just as Li Yuanqing was rejoicing, a light suddenly flashed in front of him. He raised his head and saw a thin, middle-aged man who had appeared in front of him. This man had a withered and yellow skeleton, and his entire person gave off a very skinny feeling. However, under that thin and weak body, there was a huge amount of power. Li Yuanqing could clearly feel that the strength in this person's body was unfathomable. Come with me. The puppet stretched out a hand. That arm actually automatically formed and grabbed Li Yuanqing's shoulder. Li Yuanqing hurriedly released the majestic power in his body, wanting to shake his hand away. However, when he did it, it was like an iron clamp firmly clamped on his shoulder, making it difficult for him to move at all. The power in his body actually slowly solidified, and it looked like it was about to be completely controlled by him. Just as Li Yuanqing was feeling extremely anxious, an extremely warm energy suddenly spread through his limbs and bones, instantly dissolving the restrictive power in his body. The puppet was shocked and looked at Li Yuanqing in disbelief. He could clearly feel that very strange power from Li Yuanqing's body. This power was extremely familiar. It was like a high wall that he could never cross. Moreover, the power in Li Yuanqing's body had also returned to the puppet's body through his arm, sealing all the power in his body in an instant. His originally majestic celestial spiritual energy was completely frozen in an instant. His body also slowly shrank, becoming 1 meter tall and returning to the appearance of the small human puppet. Li Yuanqing watched all these changes and was completely stunned on the spot. He clearly hadn't done anything just now, but this guy was like this, as if he had controlled himself. He had suddenly changed back to this appearance. Moreover, he could still speak smoothly just now, but now he suddenly became dull. The little doll looked at Li Yuanqing with a dull expression, as if it did not know why it was here. Li Yuanqing saw the opportunity and reached out his hand to grab the puppet. All the power in the puppet's body was frozen, including the soul chain that had signed the contract. All of them had turned invisible under Li Yuanqing's hands. In other words, this little guy was now a pure new product. There was no mark of anyone else on its body. Li Yuanqing's heart was thumping wildly. An even more powerful puppet. An extremely bold idea appeared in his mind. He didn't have time to think too much now. He had to act immediately. He took out a very large piece of yellow paper, which was specially made. He bit his finger and forced out his blood with his strength, drawing on the yellow paper for a while. After a while, a very complete contract appeared on the huge yellow paper. This contract was like countless earthworms crawling on it. It was very chaotic, but when the last stroke landed, the entire pattern seemed to be connected and emitted a weak light. Li Yuanqing stuck the huge piece of paper on the back of the little doll and pressed his palms on the back of the little guy as he muttered. Streams of scarlet light shot out from the back of the puppet, waking up the two beasts that were sleeping below. They smelled the thick smell of blood in the air and followed the direction to find Li Yuanqing's position. They did not know what Li Yuanqing was doing. He was holding a little doll in his hand. The back of the little doll seemed to have been cut open, and it continuously emitted the smell of blood. The two beasts subconsciously licked their lips, but they were also worried about Li Yuanqing's safety. However, Li Yuanqing was doing very well now. This doll, whose entire body was under control, had no power to resist at all. When Li Yuanqing's divine sense landed on it and signed a master-servant contract with it, this little fellow was very obedient and provided help to Li Yuanqing. Everything went very smoothly, as if the water was flowing smoothly. Li Yuanqing quickly signed a master-servant contract with the little fellow in his hand. He had picked up a powerful puppet for no reason. This puppet clearly had the strength of a third-level Supreme Realm expert just now. This kind of strength was enough to be unrivaled in the demon realm. On the other side, the white-browed Taoist was sitting on the golden light lake. Suddenly, his face turned red and he opened his mouth to spit out a mouthful of blood. The blood fell into the golden light lake, causing the water below to boil. The white-browed Taoist waved his sleeve, and a starry pattern appeared in front of him. Many spots of light were flickering on it. He enlarged it, and in the center of it was a dimmed spot of light. Number 36 was written on it. How is that possible? Number 36 had just sent a message saying that he had already fought with that human group. The two of them had already met, and should have brought that human back directly. However, why was all the connection between him and number 36 blocked? The white-browed Taoist looked at the pattern in astonishment. He kept using all lands of methods to re-establish the connection between the two of them. However, no matter how hard he tried, this path seemed to be locked, and he couldn't get through it all. After trying many methods to no avail, the white-browed Taoist finally felt his heart turn cold. Could it be? The white-browed Taoist didn't dare to think about such a thing. If those old humans really found out about his little tricks down there, would he be able to live a good life after he went back? He swallowed his saliva. His dry Adam's apple moved sharply. His already withered face looked even more unhealthy, and his eyes kept flickering. This originally arrogant and insufferably arrogant white-browed Taoist thought that he could cover the sky with one hand when he arrived in the lower realm, but who would have thought that in just half a day he would be rebuffed by him? He was thinking about how to escape. This was not the time to think too much. He suddenly took out a pitch-black token and threw it into the river. A whirlpool appeared in the golden light lake, and a golden door rose from the whirlpool. The door opened directly to the black dragon on the other side. What's wrong? Why are you so anxious to find me? Had they already caught Li Yuanqing? What do you mean caught? Something big has happened. White Brow lowered his voice. The black dragon looked left and right strangely, then looked at White Brow's dark face. He felt that something was wrong. What happened? Why are you in such a hurry? You don't look too good. The white-browed Taoist looked at the black dragon in panic and asked, "Last time, you told me where you could hide? What hide? Where are you going?" "It's over. I'm all over. I've been discovered." "Who found out?" The black dragon was on high alert. He suddenly realized what White Brow meant. "What do you mean?" "That's right. I can't go back to the immortal world. I need to find a place to hide so that those old humans can't find me." "But where can you go?" As long as those old humans had their eyes on a person, they would definitely not let him go. Where could he escape to? "I don't know either, but they probably haven't set their eyes on me yet. If they had discovered me, they would have already made their move. Then we can only go there. Take me there quickly. I'm doing all this for you. Don't forget. Don't worry. If something happens to you, it's also me. I'm not that stupid." "Really? Thank you so much." "What's there to thank? We've known each other for so many years. It's just a small favor. It's no big deal." As long as you don't forget about me in the future, it'll be fine. The black dragon smiled as he looked at the two white-browed men. White Brow heaved a sigh of relief and looked at Black Dragon gratefully. In the past, he had never thought that Black Dragon was so loyal. Today, he was moved by Black Dragon's righteousness. If it wasn't for Black Dragon, he wouldn't know where to go. I didn't expect Azure Dragon to be so magnanimous. He's willing to let go of past grudges and accept me. I definitely repay his kindness double in the future. Why do you only remember his kindness? The Black Dragon teased. Don't you know who came forward? Only with such great face could he obediently open the door for you. Of course, I won't forget the Black Dragon's kindness. It's just a pity that the 36th golem was taken away by someone else. Otherwise, I would definitely have personally given it to you, brother. It wouldn't have been a waste of our friendship. The Black Dragon waved his hand and said, Since you've already called me brother, why are we still so calculative? What's the point of us being so calculative? Let's hurry over now. Although the devil world was very chaotic because of you last time, it has now recovered 20% of its vitality. There's no time to lose. Let's hurry over now. It will be very dangerous for you to return to the immortal world now. Let's go through the passage here. I know a passage to the devil world. The Black Dragon led the way while the white-browed Taoist followed closely behind. With their extremely fast speed, they covered dozens of miles with each step and soon arrived at a desolate valley. The white-browed Taoist carefully sensed for a while. This valley was very strange. He couldn't feel any special spiritual power in it. It seemed that there was a very powerful ground that distorted the power of the entire space. Black Dragon, why is the situation here so strange? I think it's most likely an array left behind by the human race. Let's get rid of this array first. The Black Dragon said with assurance, Brother White Eyebrow, why do you still not trust me? I have been here many times. The demon realm is my territory. Don't you think I know what is here? That's true. I was worried too much. Brother White Eyebrow, don't worry. As long as I'm here, I won't sell out your location. Those humans won't find you no matter what. You just stay in the devil world. Although the devil world is only a small world, it's enough for you to recuperate. Now that things have come to this, I can't care so much. I'm already very satisfied that there's such a place for me to stay and not be found by the human race. Then follow me. That tunnel is in the underground mine and is still 1,000 feet deep. The power inside is probably more chaotic. The Black Dragon landed in the valley as he spoke. The two of them found the hidden entrance in a short while. The white-browed Taoist was about to enter when the Black Dragon stopped him. White Brow, you still have so much blood, sweat, and tears in your immortal's cave. Do you need me to help you bring all the materials you need to make puppets? White Brow's expression changed slightly as he smiled and said, It's fine. Those humans will definitely not keep their eyes on a small fry like me. After this period of time, I can return to the immortal world. At most, I can wait for a few decades. It's better than staying in the lower realm all the time. That's true. However, the spiritual power in the lower realm is not comparable to that in the immortal realm. If you don't have the resources to assist in your cultivation, I'm afraid your cultivation progress will be greatly delayed. The white-browed Taoist confidently said to the Black Dragon, Brother, you don't have to worry about me. I've already prepared everything, and I've brought enough materials with me. After all, he was a cultivator, so he had to think ahead. Ha ha ha, brother, you're really resourceful. You've learned all the advantages of being shrewd and good at calculating. Then I won't worry too much. The Black Dragon smiled and descended into the secret cave. The two of them descended into the core of the earth through the narrow tunnel. This mine was very long and narrow, and there were many bends. The two of them changed their direction many times along the way. The white-browed Taoist followed behind the Black Dragon, but he didn't have many objections. However, there was always a mysterious force shrouding the mine, which greatly weakened their strength. The white-browed Taoist was walking forward when his vision suddenly blurred, as if something had changed in front of him. The Black Dragon in front of him also stopped. They were at a fork in the road again. Black Dragon, why aren't you leaving? The Black Dragon didn't turn around. It just looked at the two intersections and was in a dilemma. To be honest, I have been to these two places before. However, it has been a long time since I came here. Instead, I have forgotten about this place. The white-browed Taoist also walked to the front and silently sensed. However, in this mind, there were many ores that could affect the judgment of their divine senses, limiting their divine senses to only 10 meters outside their bodies. If that's the case, what should we do? The black dragon said with some distress, "It's all my fault. I didn't remember the terrain clearly and wasted so much time. I'm afraid there's no other good way now. Why don't I go ahead and scout first? You wait here first. What do you think, brother?" White Brow rolled his eyes and said with a smile, "Since Brother Black Dragon is here to scout the way, how can you go alone? I go and try with more people later. We'll always find the right path." The Black Dragon turned around happily, "Was thinking of letting you rest here and accumulate your strength in case that humans suddenly launched a sneak attack. If that's the case, then we'll each take a path and go our separate ways." "This is very good. Then where is Brother White Eyebrow heading to?" "Brother Black Dragon, what do you think?" "There's no need for us to be modest. You go to the left. I'll go to the right side. After walking 1,000 feet, there should be another fork. There should be an intersection on that road that was sealed off. They would meet up again after finding the road. All right, it's decided then." Thus, after White Brow and Black Dragon parted ways, they continued to move forward in the mineshaft through two different intersections. White Brow left. After about 1,000 feet, he really came to a fork. There was a path on one side of the fork that was sealed just as the Black Dragon had said. Wasn't this the path that the Black Dragon had mentioned? Just as White Brow was about to turn around and report the good news to the Black Dragon, a sharp blade suddenly fell from his head and stabbed straight into his forehead. White Brow turned pale with fright and hurriedly dodged to the side. However, he did not know that the long sword was just a feint attack. The real main attacker was in the shadow of the passage on his left. Suddenly, he jumped out. The Black Dragon was holding a black sword in his hand. He was extremely fast and turned into a black shadow. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of White Brow. Just now, he had covered up all of his own aura. In addition, the energy in the passage was so chaotic that White Brow couldn't distinguish his aura. He was in a mess. White Brow did not manage to dodge in time and was stabbed in the waist by the longsword. He had at least thrown out a puppet and transformed it into a clone to block in front of him. Only then did he dodge the fatal blow and successfully escape. White Brow gritted his teeth and looked at the place where he had just landed. He found that his good brother, the Black Dragon, was looking at him with a sinister smile. "Black Dragon, what are you doing?" The Black Dragon looked at him with a vicious expression and said proudly, "Why are you still asking me at a time like this? Can't you see it yourself? Black Dragon, how could you do this to me? You and I have known each other for many years. You've been poisoned by the Overlord. Stop talking." At this moment, a grand celebration was being held in Pingcheng. After completing the construction of the defensive fortifications for a long time, the overall defense had now completely reached the standards required by the Sword Immortal. Although they didn't know what the criteria for judging a Sword Immortal was, they all trusted him very much. Sword Immortals were the pride of the human race. Sword Immortals were the ones who kept their word, and their words were the rules that all humans had to abide by. Hence, there was such a grand banquet. This banquet was mainly to celebrate the demon realm's peace under the leadership of the human race. The human race had been enslaved, and the demon race was superior. The entire world of the demon world had ushered in a new chapter. It was not just Ping City. The other cities also followed in Ping City's footsteps and held such revelry banquets. This was a very grand and joyous event for the human race and was worthy of such a celebration. Senior Brother Liu, there are still some things that one don't understand about this array. A graceful female student jogged to Lu Wan and shyly took out a rough array diagram that she had made and showed it to Lu Wan. Lu Wan stopped in his tracks and smiled at the female student beside him. "Xiaoyu, everyone is attending the banquet. Why don't you go over?" He was still so focused on studying these formations. Xiaoyu lowered her head shyly and replied shyly, "I'm also going to the school's venue later, but I didn't understand this question just now." One felt very uncomfortable. So I wanted to ask senior brother to clarify it so that I wouldn't delay senior brother.
Infine.
While he was chatting happily with the two female students, Yang Tianqi and Hu Qian had already left side by side. Tianqi, the female student lowered her head guiltily. Senior brother, one think I won't disturb you. Lu Wen scratched his head helplessly and said apologetically, think we should wait until tomorrow. Today's banquet is really too grand. Let's go to that banquet first. One heard that the city lord has prepared very good things for everyone. We can't miss it. Yes, thank you, senior brother. Lu Wen said goodbye to the girl and ran after her. Hu Qian was lecturing Yang Tianqi. In my opinion, this city lord is also very strange. A few days ago, they were still saying that they would build a wall and fortifications on a large scale to make us safer. Now, they suddenly said that everything was safe. No matter how they said it, it didn't feel credible. Hu Qian did not want to attend the banquet today, so she had been finding excuses to criticize Hu Jujiu all day. Yang Tianqi naturally knew who was behind this. He said awkwardly, actually, there might be a lot of things that you don't know. Before you know the truth, it's better not to talk nonsense. What do you mean by not knowing the truth? Hu Qian suddenly thought of something. She raised her head and looked at Yang Tianqi. She flung her hand and pouted. I remember now. You and the city lord are very close. All right, I shouldn't have said bad things about her in front of you. Xiao Qian, it's not because of this. It's just that. All right, stop talking to me. I don't want to listen. Hu Qian covered her ears and ran forward, leaving Yang Tianqi behind. Yang Tianqi couldn't reveal everything about his master, so he could only say something vague. Lu Wen jogged 2 steps to catch up with them. He happened to see the two of them running away unhappily. He couldn't help but hide behind them and snicker. I say, Casanova, what's wrong with you? Otherwise, how could you provoke the young miss? I don't think your situation is good. Don't you have something to do? How did it get resolved so quickly? I see that the two of you are running so fast. You keep trying to get rid of me. Do you think Master is back now? How would I know? Master's whereabouts have always been unpredictable. Why are you thinking about this? Xiao Qian is worried that his family will capture him, so he doesn't want to go out now. One think if Master comes back, then Xiao Qian won't have to worry. We can go to the banquet together, right? That's true, but Master can't do anything about these things. In my opinion, instead of waiting for Master to return, why don't the two of us think of some ways to get rid of their clansman's pursuit? Yang Tianqi frowned and said, you make it sound so easy, but Master didn't even say anything when he was around. He could solve all these troublesome things. Now that he's gone, what's the use of relying on the two of us? We just need to let those old fellows and their clan retreat in the face of difficulties and know that the two of us are not so easy to provoke, right? If you ask me, it's not that troublesome. What do you want? Lu Wen took out his thick book and picked out a set of arrays from it, placing it in front of Yang Tianqi. This illusion array can trap anyone who enters it and make them unable to extricate themselves. Even a mid-stage spiritualization realm expert can easily control it and be at our mercy. Those old fellows and their family aren't very strong. I think we can use this to deal with them. Yang Tianqi hurriedly waved his hand and closed the book righteously. No. Have you forgotten what Sister Xiaoman said? When he taught us this array formation, he warned us that this array formation was not in the teaching outline and that we should not use it easily. If anyone discovered it and reported it, the two of us would be finished. Lu Wen raised his eyebrows and snorted. Then forget it. You want to get the beauty back, but you don't have the guts to let me see you. It's better for you to send your Xiao Qian back obediently. Don't think about so many beautiful things. Yang Tianqi was also very conflicted. He knew that this was not good. It was very dangerous and could easily be used by others. However, he really wanted to bring Xiao Qian out to play. The event this time was really grand. Everyone in Ping City would be participating. It was a once-in-a-century event. If he missed this opportunity, he didn't know when the next one would come. It could be seen that Xiao Qian really wanted to attend this grand meeting. However, her family members were constantly searching outside, so she had no choice. She said that she didn't want to go, but she was just finding an excuse. Yang Tianqi mumbled to himself, just this once won't be a problem. Just this once. As long as no one finds out after this, no one will know that we did it. He chased after Li Yuanqing in front of him and pulled Li Yuanqing into the corner beside him. Just this once, and don't hurt their lives. As long as we release them immediately after this banquet ends, they will definitely be fine, right? Li Yuanqing looked at him with a smile, as if he had completely grasped this brother in his heart. If you're so timid, why are you still chasing after girls? Give up early. She's not someone you can control. As a good brother, I'll give you a piece of advice. Yang Tianqi was immediately displeased. He glared at Li Yuanqing and grabbed his shoulder. Who said I'm timid? It's settled this time. When the time comes, I'll preside over this array formation. You said it yourself. You're not allowed to go back on your words. I won't go back on my word. Then I'll wait and see. Outside the gate of the academy, two strange demons were sneakily sitting in front of a tea stall, their eyes occasionally darting back and forth at the entrance of the academy. Although the people of the Demon Fox clan discovered that Hu Qian had escaped with the two brats, they were now hiding in the academy. The people of the Demon Fox clan could do nothing about it. This was because the higher-ups of the academy had given a death order. No matter what happened, they were not allowed to affect the normal operation of the academy. Therefore, the current situation was very deadlocked. Demonic Fox had no choice but to send people to guard the entrance of the academy. As soon as Hu Qian came out, they would immediately capture her and bring her back. Also, that Yang Tianqi was too ridiculous. 3 heads appeared on the wall of the academy. The 3 of them carefully looked in the direction of the sentry post and slowly retracted their heads. Your family really went all out to send so many young masters to guard this place. There are a total of 7 or 8 of them. Don't these people have to do anything every day? Li Yuanqing leaned against the wall and could not help but complain. Yang Tianqi ignored him and turned to Hu Qian. Xiao Qian, don't worry. I've already prepared the materials. At that time, you can lure them to the remote hillside at the side. We'll temporarily trap them there and let them out after the banquet is over. They'll be fine. Hu Qian stared at the 2 of them in confusion, not sure if the 2 brothers were bragging. Can the 2 of you really control them all? The few of them are almost at the spirit transformation realm. This kind of strength is not something we can fight against.
Yang Tianqi smiled proudly.
Don't worry, leave it to me. I have the control array personally guided by Sister Xiaoman. No matter how strong he is, as long as he falls into this array, he will be trapped and can't get out. Sister Xiaoman? Then one can believe you. Li Yuanqing was immediately unhappy when he heard this. He said unhappily, What do you mean? Don't you trust the 2 of us? Hu Qian pouted and muttered a few words to herself, not answering his question. Tell me clearly, what do you mean? The 3 of them swaggered out of the academy and headed towards the top of the mountain. The sentry outside immediately sent out a signal after seeing the 3 of them leave. People from other directions rushed over one after another, and they followed closely behind. Li Yuanqing and the other 2 seemed to have sensed that someone was chasing them from behind. They quickened their pace and soon disappeared from the main street. They moved from the small road to the hill. The fox demons behind him also followed closely up the mountain. When they were halfway up the mountain, a thick fog suddenly rose from their bodies. The fog kept increasing and slowly blocked their vision. It was clearly noon, and when they came up, it was the sun. There was no smoke at all. Why was it foggy halfway? These people didn't have time to think carefully. They continued to chase along the path they had just taken, but the more they walked, the more they felt that something was wrong. They had walked for a long time on this path, but there was clearly no change. They finally realized that something was wrong. Oh no, where is this? While they were trapped outside the mountain, Li Yuanqing, Yang Tianqi, and Hu Qian had already run to the streets happily. Do you think they will really be trapped inside? Don't worry. When have the 2 of us ever lied to you? Those guys from your family can't come out no matter what. Li Yuanqing grinned as he looked at Hu Qian and said, Forget about those lowly servants. Even if your grandmother is trapped in this array formation, she won't be able to come out for a while. Hu Qian was still smiling happily just now, but when she heard this, her expression immediately changed. Li Yuanqing felt that something was wrong, but it was too late to apologize. You're not allowed to speak ill of Grandma. I didn't. One was just saying. But you're not allowed to speak ill of your mother-in-law. Once Hu Qian got angry, she huffed and burrowed into the crowd, leaving the two brothers far behind. The two of them were about to move forward to chase after him when they suddenly felt the world spin. When they woke up again, they had already arrived at an extremely familiar space. They had cultivated in this space for a long time in the past. Now that they had returned, they naturally felt a sense of familiarity. A young man stood in front of them, staring at them. When the two brothers saw the man in front of them, they knelt on the ground. "Master!" Li Yuanqing looked down at them and said a little angrily, "You two still know that I'm your master?" "Master, I know I was wrong. It's just that Master hasn't returned for a long time. I don't dare to forget Master's kindness for a day." Li Yuanqing knocked on their heads and asked, "Do you know where you went wrong?" Disciples shouldn't be so playful. Li Yuanqing couldn't help but laugh out loud when he saw the two of them in such an embarrassed state. He patted their heads gently and said with a smile, "Just now, I was just making fun of you. Don't take it so seriously. I saw that the two of you seemed to be interested in that girl." Yang Tianqi quickly looked up at Li Yuanqing and said, "Master, my feelings for Xiao Qian are sincere. I know that Master doesn't want us to be so happy right now, so I found a dual cultivation partner. I'm willing to wait 20 years before marrying Xiao Qian." Li Yuanqing looked at him meaningfully and asked, "You're willing to wait like this, but can a girl wait?" "Master, I'm a VIP. I don't know." In an alley, Hu Qian was sitting on the steps gloomily, swinging a small stone with her hand. "Xiao Qian, I finally found you." Yang Tianqi held a long stick of candied haws in his hand. He ran to Hu Qian and squatted down. "Didn't you want to come out and play? Look at how lively it is outside. There are all kinds of shops. Why are you hiding here?" Hu Qian turned away from Yang Tianqi and mumbled, "None of your business." "Xiao Qian, I was delayed by something just now, so one didn't catch up. Did you suffer any grievances? You can go wherever you want. It has nothing to do with me. There's no need to tell me." Hu Qian stood up and was about to leave. Yang Tianqi hurriedly chased after him. Hu Qian looked up and saw Lu Wan and Li Yuanqing standing in front of her. "Xiao Qian, don't be in such a hurry to leave." Li Yuanqing smiled kindly at Hu Qian. "Hello, Xiao Qian." Hu Qian sized up this handsome big brother from head to toe. She wondered when Lu Wan and the other two had gotten together with this person. "Who are you?" Yang Tianqi ran to her side and whispered, "Xiao Qian, this is our master." "Master?" Hu Qian was even more confused when she heard this. "Didn't you two say that your master is very powerful? I didn't expect him to be so young. I thought you really had a way to make Grandma agree." Xiao Qian's heart shattered when she saw this master who was completely different from what she had imagined. Back then, the two of them had been bragging about how powerful they were and how they had blown their master up to the sky. However, now that they had seen how old he was, what kind of strength did he have? Li Yuanqing smiled and patted Hu Qian's head. "Little girl, as the saying goes, you can't judge a book by its cover. Maybe I'm a little more powerful than you think. Senior, if you want to play with the two of them, then the three of you can go play together. I still have something to do, so I'll leave first." Hu Qian was just about to leave when she turned around and glared at Yang Tianqi. "All right, release the seniors of our family quickly. I don't want them to be trapped inside forever."
Yang Tianqi grabbed Hu Qian's worries.
"Xiao Qian, don't go. Listen to me. Let go of me. One haven't learned much in the academy for so long. One should go back to the clan. In the future, Granny won't pester you." Li Yuanqing suddenly stretched out a hand and placed it in front of Hu Qian. Hu Qian took a step back and assumed a defensive stance. Li Yuanqing's hand trembled slightly, and a bouquet of flowers appeared in his hand. "Little girl, don't be nervous. Today is a great time for the whole city to celebrate. There are many fun things in the city. What will happen then? It has nothing to do with me. Mother-in-law is still waiting for me. I have a suggestion. I'll bring the three of you to play in the city for a day. After today, all your troubles will be solved, and there won't be any more trouble." Hu Qian looked at Li Yuanqing suspiciously. Li Yuanqing sounded like a liar. Yang Tianqi happily held Hu Qian's hand, but Hu Qian shook it off. "Xiao Qian, come with us. Master is very capable. As long as he promises something, he will definitely not go back on his word. Really? Why would I lie to you? Master is the most powerful figure in the entire human race. As long as you've seen Master's methods, you definitely won't doubt him. Don't worry, follow me. Master will definitely help us think of a way. The most powerful figure in the entire human race? Hu Qian could not believe such an evaluation. She felt that Yang Tianqi was bragging too much. Lu Wen said while eating his candied haws, I say, great beauty. This is an opportunity that everyone is envious of. If you miss it today, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Go then. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Li Yuanqing smiled and extended his hands to Hu Qian and Yang Tianqi. In that case, let me bring you guys here to have fun today. Hu Qian carefully extended a hand and placed it on Li Yuanqing's hand. She only felt a sudden flash of light in front of her eyes, and she immediately changed her location. Hu Qian sat on a transparent bubble, floating in the air. The bubble floated 300 meters above the ground. Yang Tianqi and Lu Wen sat next to it. Each of them had a big bubble. As long as they lowered their heads, they would be able to see the bustling streets of Pingcheng. The bustling streets and all the beautiful scenery could be seen. At this moment, another colorful bubble floated out from the thin white fog. This bubble was bigger than the three of them. Li Yuanqing was wearing very refreshing clothes and lying on the bubble, leisurely bathing in the golden light above his head. Welcome to the amusement park in the sky. Li Yuanqing took out 3 cards and threw them to the 3 of them. This amusement park in the sky is an experimental site made by our array master, Xiaoman. This place is mainly used for entertainment. He seems to have set up more than 30 entertainment facilities. I'm not sure about the specific situation at the moment, so let's explore it together. While Xiaoman was studying the array, she was also getting more and more proficient in the use of the power within the array. Especially in her spare time, she used the excess power of the entire city protection array to create such a playground in the sky. The theme park used the entire sky of Pingcheng as the venue and set up many boundaries. What amusement park? But from here, one can only see clouds and pedestrians below. Other than that, there's nothing else. Hu Qian looked left and right in confusion and realized that the sky in front of her was empty. It was gray and said that it was an amusement park, but she could clearly see nothing. Li Yuanqing took out his own card and gently poked the bubble under his butt with it. The bubble burst with a bang and Li Yuanqing disappeared. The 3 of them were shocked by Li Yuanqing's actions. It was really interesting to see a magic trick that could transform a living person in the air. The 3 young men looked at each other and saw the excitement in each other's eyes. They each held a card and carefully moved closer to the bubble under their buttocks.
Bang!
The 3 of them popped the bubbles under their buttocks. When the bubbles burst, they immediately felt as if they were falling straight down and had a short sense of weightlessness. However, this feeling of weightlessness was very short. After a moment, it was as if they were standing on flat ground again. When they opened their eyes to look, they saw a very vast building complex in front of them. The colors and styles of these buildings were not much different. There were only a few monotonous colors. However, the shelves that built the houses were able to emit a lustrous light, adding a dreamy feeling to the entire amusement park. The 3 of them walked in this dreamlike kingdom and could not help but gape. They had never seen such a scene before. Right at this moment, a white-bearded old man riding a cloud flew in front of him. Looking at the white-bearded old man's appearance carefully, it was clearly Li Yuanqing. This amusement city was originally planned to be open to the public tomorrow. Today, one happened to meet the 3 of you, so I'll open it for the 3 of you. Please enjoy yourself. After Li Yuanqing finished speaking, he let out a howl and rode away on the horse that had transformed from a cloud. The 3 children were dumbfounded. They looked at Li Yuanqing, who was only left with a wisp of white smoke, and then at the huge kingdom in front of them. Everything was open only to the 3 of them. Why are you still standing there in a daze? Hurry up and come. Lu Wen took the lead and ran into the nearest area on the left. There was a golden door here. Other than this door, everything else was foggy. He could only see that behind this gray wall was a dazzling building. The 3 of them had that card in their hands again. The 3 of them each held the card and walked through the golden door. After entering the door, the entire world suddenly became clear. The simple structure instantly became clear in this small world. The houses and facilities beside them were even more surprising. If they were not still emitting light, it would be difficult to tell that they were all illusions. In the center of the field was a large field with a diameter of 4 kilometers. At the edge of the field, clusters of clouds were slowly floating there, as if waiting for their master. What is this? After entering this place, they still felt very confused. They didn't know what this place was for, and they didn't seem to be able to tell. Luwen wasn't that timid. He ran to the bottom of the cloud and jumped onto it, imitating Li Yuanqing's actions and flying in the air. What are you two waiting for? Hurry up and come over. After he rode on the cloud, 2 golden rings appeared in the sky. One was on the left side of the field, and the other was on the right side. In the center of the field, there was a huge display screen floating, showing 0 to 0. Yang Tianqi and Hu Qian also carefully touched the cloud. The 3 of them flew in the air, slowly mastering this strange game. Luwen, what should we do now? Luwen rode on the cloud and turned into a fat dog with short limbs. He was looking up at a large board in front of him. The board showed them the rules of the game. The 3 of you actually came here. It took me a long time to find you. Li Yuanqing appeared out of thin air again and landed in front of the 3 of them, sitting on the display screen. Master! Li Yuanqing stroked his white beard and pretended to change his voice. TM already dressed like this, and you guys still recognize me? The 3 children could not help but laugh. Master, you just put on a beard. That face is very familiar. Is that so? Li Yuanqing touched his face, and his entire face instantly turned old. He looked like an old man in his 60s or 70s. How about this? You're still my master. Forget it. Let's not talk about this for now. The field you're on now is called a throwing game. What are they doing? In other words, you will be divided into 2 camps. You will fight for a small ball and pass this small ball through the other party's ring. This will be considered as a point. But master, there are 3 of us. Li Yuanqing looked at Yang Tianqi with dissatisfaction and said, Why are there 3 of them? How could you forget about me? But master, you're so strong. How can we play with you? Li Yuanqing jumped down from the screen and landed in the middle of the 3. Don't worry. One know what to do. I'll be gentler later. Then how should we group up? Li Yuanqing's gaze landed on Hu Qian. He looked at Hu Qian and said, Since this is the first time the kid is here, I'll let you choose your teammates. Hu Qian pointed at Li Yuanqing without hesitation and said, Then I'll definitely choose you. Isn't it a sure win if I choose you? Li Yuanqing paused for a moment and made a surprised expression. Little kid, you're quite smart. All right, let's start now. As he spoke, he opened his palm and released a small golden ball. This golden ball was slightly transparent, and there was some golden thread-like energy flowing inside. The energy was very unstable. It was the irregular flow of energy that made the small ball jump up and down. It could not stop at all. When I let go later, the competition will officially begin. Do you understand? Yang Tianqi and Luwen got on their mounts and fixed their eyes on the golden ball. I'm ready. Li Yuanqing released the restriction on his hand, and the golden ball immediately flew into the air and flew to the side at an extremely fast speed. The 3 of them chased after them relentlessly. Li Yuanqing was at the back, chasing after the 3 of them. Hu Qian was leading the way, closely following the golden ball. Every time the golden ball changed direction, Hu Qian was able to adjust and follow it very quickly. Her reaction speed was top-notch. On the other hand, Luwen and Yang Tianqi were left dizzy. Hu Qian had already forced the golden ball into a corner. The ball was about to turn to the knowledge arc to accelerate and grab the ball in her hand. I caught it. Li Yuanqing hurriedly commanded from behind, Hurry up and go through their goal. Hu Qian ran towards the goal of Yang Tianqi and Luwen. Luwen suddenly stopped in midair and blocked her way. Stop! Hu Qian was unmoved. With a somersault, she went around Luwen. When she straightened her body again, the goal was already very close. Just as Hu Qian was about to pass through the golden goal, a pitch-black crack suddenly appeared in the middle of the goal. Li Yuanqing was originally watching the show from behind. When he suddenly felt this strange spatial fluctuation, he did not hesitate to go forward and pull all 3 children back in an instant. Hu Qian had already reached the front of the black crack and was less than a meter away from it when Li Yuanqing waved his sleeve and pulled her to his side. Master, we're about to win. Hu Qian's attention was on Yang Tianqi and Lu Wan, so she did not notice the danger she was in. At this moment, he noticed Li Yuanqing's line of sight and followed his gaze. Only then did he realize that the golden goal had been completely torn apart by a black crack. From the black spatial crack, a body covered in blood rolled out. The body fell from the sky and landed on the lawn below. White Brow didn't forget to wave his hand in the air, closing the spatial rift. He was covered in blood as he lay on the lawn, panting heavily. There were 2 terrifying openings on his waist, and hot blood was flowing out of them. Moreover, the spiritual energy in his body was still present at the wound. It was constantly being eroded by the strange black energy. That energy had already penetrated deeper and deeper into his body from the wound. White Brow was barely able to maintain his injuries, but his injuries were too severe. It was already very difficult for him to be able to keep his life. At this moment, he could no longer care about what was going on around him. Li Yuanqing brought the 3 children and landed beside White Brow. Looking at White Brow's broken body, he still maintained a high level of vigilance. He was very familiar with the power emitted by this guy. It was the power unique to the legendary immortal world. It was obvious that this person was not from the demon realm. Moreover, the aura that this person gave him felt very familiar and terrifying. It felt like the aura of 2 puppets, but it was far more terrifying than the puppets. Who are you? Why did they come here? Did you buy a ticket? Lu Wan took a step forward and questioned by Mei. Only then did White Brow turn his attention to the people beside him. He looked around and his gaze fell directly on Li Yuanqing's face. He couldn't be more familiar with this face. The last person his puppet saw was this person in front of him.
Li Yuanqing.
Li Yuanqing looked at White Brow in confusion and carefully pulled Lu Wan behind him. You know me? Ha ha ha! White Brow had just laughed twice when a mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. He had no choice but to stop laughing. He looked at Li Yuanqing coldly. It was a kid like you who caused me to be like this? Li Yuanqing frowned and said unhappily, Senior, I have no grievances with you in the past and have no enmity with you recently. We have never met before. How can you say that I have harmed you? White Brow forced himself to sit up with one hand. He took out a small pitch-black bottle from his chest pocket, and with trembling hands, he poured out a pitch-black pill and stuffed it into his mouth. His Adam's apple moved slightly, and he forcefully swallowed the pill. After swallowing the pill, the trembling of his body finally weakened a lot, as if he suddenly felt much better. You haven't seen me before, but I'm very familiar with you. After White Brow recovered for a moment, although his face was still very pale, some color had returned. He looked at Li Yuanqing coldly, a hint of struggle flashing in his eyes. Li Yuanqing had caught a trace of killing intent and retreated carefully. He seemed to have guessed something. Senior, no matter what grudges we had before, I think you guys provoked me first. Is that right? White Brow laughed coldly and said to Li Yuanqing, Kid, only I can save you now. You have to help me so that we can all live. I don't understand what you mean. You don't know me, but you should know Black Dragon, right? White Brow let out a long breath. The poison in his body had been temporarily suppressed, but if he wanted to completely remove it, he would probably need to focus for a period of time. Li Yuanqing finally confirmed his guess. He looked at White Brow and said, If that's the case, then the 2 puppets from a while ago should be Senior's handiwork? These 2 exquisite puppets of mine were both destroyed in the hands of an unknown human. You and Black Dragon are clearly working together as brothers. Why did you come here today and say such things to me? Could it be that the 2 of you are going to fall out? The 3 children were a little stunned when they heard the conversation between the 2. However, they had more or less heard of the legends of the Black Dragon. If the person in front of him was Black Dragon's friend, how powerful would he be? The white-browed Taoist gritted his teeth as he looked at the empty space and said slowly, I've known the Black Dragon for several hundred years. What made you 2 old friends who have known each other for so long suddenly turn hostile? The white-browed Taoist looked at Li Yuanqing meaningfully. You know the relationship between me and the Black Dragon. You also know that we have fought many times before. Aren't you afraid that this old man will kill you now? If Senior wanted to make a move, I'm afraid you wouldn't have landed in front of me in such a sorry state. I think Senior is probably not in a position to do so. White Brow looked at Li Yuanqing's aura with uncertainty. Why did it become so strange? Why do you have the aura of the immortal world? Who exactly are you? I'm just an ordinary cultivator from the lower realm. I'm afraid one can't enter Senior's eyes. No, I understand. I shouldn't have looked at you from the beginning. It was a mistake from the beginning. Taoist White Eyebrow smiled bitterly. Everything, including Li Yuanqing's magic treasure and his proud puppet number 36, had been taken away. Wasn't it obvious? Li Yuanqing was clearly sent down from the upper realm. He probably discovered the Black Dragon's business in the lower realm, so he was sent down. Otherwise, he wouldn't have failed so many times in the past. He had thought that he would win, but in the end, he failed every time. In addition, after meeting him today, he discovered that Li Yuanqing actually had the aura of the immortal world. This person was clearly from the immortal world. He did not expect him to hide so deeply. Li Yuanqing did not know what he meant. Although he felt that it was a little strange, he did not deny it. Senior, as a demon, you naturally have to live in peace with the human race. You naturally shouldn't be aggressive toward the human race everywhere. There's no need to say those words. The Black Dragon will be here soon. He's afraid of the strength of those old humans, so he definitely won't dare to come here in person. Li Yuanqing's expression was not too good. Originally, they had held such a grand banquet to celebrate their loyalty to the human race and usher in a long-lost peace. However, they did not expect that this White Brow would provoke this disaster again. Senior, if my guess is correct, this should be a personal grudge between the two of you. It should have nothing to do with us humans. You have no choice. Senior, aren't you a little too confident? The white-browed Taoist waved his hand, and 3 small dolls flew out from the tattered Taoist robe. The little ones fell to the ground and rolled around, then suddenly grew bigger. After rolling on the ground twice, the 3 little people slowly stood up and turned into 3 puppets the size of adults. The 3 puppets stood in front of the white-browed Taoist. The white-browed Taoist looked at Li Yuanqing and said, "Kid, I know you care about the humans here. I might not be able to touch you, but it's still easy for me to take away hundreds of thousands of lives before one die. I think it's a mutually beneficial matter between us. There's no need to make things so awkward." Li Yuanqing looked at White Brow unhappily. It was fine that this fellow came over without saying a word, but he even looked like he was going to blackmail him. If they did not cooperate with him, it was obvious that he was going to make a move on the people of Pingcheng. Senior, I'm afraid this isn't the attitude of wanting to cooperate with others, right? Little fellow, I've already become like this. Do you expect me to still be benevolent and moral? What do you want to do? It's very simple. I just need you to help me get rid of the Black Dragon. Don't you need to pay something, Senior? The white-browed Taoist smiled and took out 2 wooden balls from his hand. Little guy, one can see that you are also good at puppetry, but you seem to be better at the book of contract. You are still not good at the technique of making puppets. If you can help me get through this crisis, I can not only give you a few finished products, but also a book of the Immortal Realm's Divine Secrets sect.
Puppet technique.
This is a famous book in the immortal world. As long as you comprehend this book, your strength will increase greatly. This thing was quite attractive to Li Yuanqing. He especially envied Taoist White Eyebrow for being able to refine such a powerful puppet. If he could learn the puppet technique of the immortal world, it would be worth it even if he had to pay something. How is it, little guy? Have you thought about it? If you don't agree, I'll go hide in another small world. If it wasn't for your background, I wouldn't have let you take advantage of me. But with my strength, how can I resist the Black Dragon? The white-browed Taoist tidied his mouth and smiled. He looked at Li Yuanqing and said, "Don't worry. The Black Dragon knows that there are people in the human race watching the lower realm. He won't dare to attack you. He's only here for me. You only need to kill all of the Black Dragon's clones for me, and it'll be considered as helping me. But the Black Dragon is very powerful, and how many clones can he create? I can't possibly be here protecting you all the time, right? You don't have to worry about that. I only need a month. After a month, when my body has recovered, one will find a place to hide. At that time, one will naturally give you this puppet technique. All right, it's settled then. I think your array is quite good. 1 foot 11 inches hide here for now. He Long, who was 100 miles away from Ping City, gritted his teeth as he looked in the direction of Ping City. This huge city was located in a dark place. He had been searching for White Brow's tracks and had chased him all the way here. White Brow was truly sinister. He had managed to resolve such an elaborate scheme. Who would have thought that this person would have a substitute talisman on him? If not for the substitute talisman, he would have died 10,000 times by now. He had relied on the powerful substitute talisman to escape to Ping City. This was troublesome. In Ping City, Li Yuanqing had the backing of the human race big shot of the immortal world. If he dared to act recklessly, he would definitely be discovered by the human race. He could not kill all those humans, and he was afraid of being discovered by the human race of the immortal world. This time, he definitely could not act personally. Behind him, for veiled avatars stood there silently. Hide here. In the sky above Ping City, a yellow light spot flickered faintly. He Long had already locked onto White Brow's position. He was hiding in the sky above Ping City, but no one knew what he was doing there. Go. Kill him. Bring back that substitute talisman. Although a substitute talisman was valuable, it also had its limitations. First of all, there was a certain limit to the number of times it could be used, which varied with the grade. There was also a certain cooldown time. After using it once, it would require a very long recovery time. That guy only had one substitute talisman on him at most. No matter how many more he had, he would definitely run out. As long as these substitutes went to work and killed White Brow, he would have all his treasures and a life-saving substitute talisman. He would have profited no matter what. The 4 black figures silently sneaked into the darkness and soon arrived at the periphery of Ping City. The lively atmosphere in Ping City was very noisy. Even the people outside the city could hear the clamor clearly. There were also fireworks and all kinds of lights that filled the sky. It looked extremely lively. These black dragon incarnations sneaked into Ping City under the cover of the night and mixed into the crowd. The amusement city in the sky had opened early today. The original notice was that it would not open until tomorrow, but the progress was actually much earlier. It began to welcome guests today, and there were basically no conditions. Everyone only needed a middle-grade spirit stone to play inside for a whole day. These black dragon incarnations also followed the crowd and quietly bought a ticket. The white-browed Taoist was hiding in the amusement park in the sky. Sir, each ticket can only stay inside for 1 day. When the time is up, you will automatically return to the waiting area below. Do you understand? The black dragon incarnation nodded impatiently. Sir, please enter in an orderly manner. I wish you a pleasant time. The black dragon clones lined up in a row and entered the sky playground one by one. However, after they entered, they realized that they could not find any traces of their companions. This was because after they entered, they were assigned to different places. This was a narrow hut. The black dragon clone appeared very suddenly here. He looked around vigilantly. The surroundings were pitch black. Only the weak light emitted by the fluorite flickered. It was impossible to see what was going on. These were all illusions created by the array. Although the black dragon could see the root of these illusions, it did not have the ability to break the array within this period of time. He could clearly see that the white-browed Taoist was in the depths of this strange maze. As for the other avatars, they landed in 4 different directions. When they entered, they were sent to different places by Li Yuanqing's array formation. Black Dragon was a little hesitant. He suspected that Li Yuanqing might have discovered his existence and deliberately put on such a show. However, Li Yuanqing had no reason to help White Brow. It was only an accident that White Brow was hiding in this array. Perhaps the rules of their array formation were that as long as they came here, they would be randomly assigned to different places. Then everything would make sense. The Black Dragon's clone continued to walk along the passage. Suddenly, a puppet in a skeleton costume appeared beside the Black Dragon and made a face. Without any explanation, Black Dragon slapped the little skeleton into pieces. These were all Li Yuanqing's tools. They were originally used to entertain the audience, but Black Dragon was not in the mood for entertainment. On a cloud, Li Yuanqing silently looked around at the four figures that had appeared in the images. The white-browed Taoist had also almost fully recovered. Although his face was still a little pale, his spirit was much better than before. The black dragon is afraid of your human seniors, so he definitely wouldn't dare to act rashly and send 4 clones over. Li Yuanqing observed the movements of the wood spirit clone while chatting quietly. Black dragon is so powerful. He should be able to kill a few people in the lower realm casually. How can he be afraid of anyone? White Brow glanced at Li Yuanqing. Li Yuanqing should have known what was going on. If those seniors of your human race discover what the two of us have done in the lower realm, they will definitely not let us off. However, speaking of which, I'm already so shocked. You won't report me to the higher-ups again, right? Li Yuanqing's heart was slightly moved. He had originally wondered why these two fellows were so timid when they fought in the demon realm. Now, it seemed that there was something else. What good is it for me to report you? The white-browed Taoist harumphed and heaved a sigh of relief. At least you're still a little bit more sensible. I can be of great help to you if I'm alive, but if I'm killed by your seniors, you won't get anything. I'm just curious. Since the two of you know that it's dangerous, why are you still pestering me? If it were me, I would have found a place to hide long ago and wouldn't be so ostentatious. Humph! The white-browed Taoist snorted coldly, looked at Li Yuanqing, and said, if I hadn't been tricked by that kid, I wouldn't have fallen to the point of begging for mercy from you. Don't ask too much about us. After the matter is done, 1 foot 11 inches definitely give you a lot of things. It's useless for you to know so much about other things. Is that so? Brat, don't say that you're so powerful. Show me what you've got. Don't be a useless good-for-nothing and drag me here, causing me to lose my life. After Taoist White Eyebrow finished speaking, Li Yuanqing finally felt a little more at ease. Just now, he had many doubts in his heart, but now it seemed that all of this was related to the human race in the immortal world. From their performance, the human race should have a pivotal position in the immortal world, so they did not dare to provoke them casually. In this way, it was as if he had a backer behind him. Presumably, after this white-browed Taoist succeeded, he would not go back on his word. Suddenly, another skeleton jumped out of the secret chamber. There were already countless of them. This maze was full of twists and turns, and all kinds of small paths were endless. The black dragon was almost dizzy from the twists and turns. However, the black dragon had the white-browed Taoist's movements in his hands, so he would rush toward the finishing point no matter what. Seeing the skeleton that suddenly appeared in front of him, the black dragon reached out his hand without any explanation, and a tremendous force poured out. As expected, the skeleton turned into bone powder and scattered in the air. However, the bone powder this time was slightly different from the previous one. There were traces of black energy mixed in the white powder. The black energy quietly coiled around him. At first, it was difficult to detect with the naked eye, but it gradually became thicker. When the black dragon passed by, it quietly wrapped itself around the black dragon's limbs. The black dragon's expression changed abruptly. He shook his hand and immediately shook off the wisp of energy that was wrapped around his hand. How dare you?